Okay, hello everyone, I'm Professor Martin Conway and I'm going to help conduct some memory experiments with you this afternoon. The first one, we will see some video clips of road traffic accidents, nothing gruesome. When we get to the end, I'm going to divide you into two groups. One group will go out of the room and then I'm going to ask the groups, one after another, some questions about the road traffic clips that we've seen. So is that okay? Any questions at all? Okay, well, get ready and let's start. Okay, thank you very much for doing that. I'm now going to divide you into your two groups, and the first group will leave the room, okay, and no conferring on that. So for clip one then, and you probably have to guess for some of these answers, so don't leave anything blank, but do guess, that's perfectly right. How many people were in the cars in clip one? How long was clip one in seconds, roughly speaking? What speed were the cars going when they smashed into each other? Was there any broken glass on the road? Okay, all done. If you guys could now head off to the diary room to send the others in.
Do they know where it is?
Well, welcome back. So let's start out with clip one. Cast your mind back. How many people were in the cars? And this is, again, for clip one. Roughly in seconds, how long was clip one? What speed were the cars going when they made contact with each other? Was there any broken glass on the road after the impact? Okay, finished? Thank you very much. Should we bring the others in? And we'll just have a quick look at some of the findings here, and I'll explain what this experiment is about. Okay, well, there are some differences between the groups. Let me explain to you what the sole difference in this experiment was. Everything was the same for everybody, except that in group one, you were asked what speed were the cars going when they smashed into each other. Whereas in group two, you were asked what speed were the cars going when they made contact with each other. And this is known as a leading question. So if someone says to you, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other, implicitly you might assume they must have been going pretty fast if they smashed into each other. And there were some differences in that direction. It wasn't as clear-cut as it would be, but normally we'd run hundreds of people in an experiment like this because there's a lot of variation. Whereas people who are asked how fast were the cars going when they made contact tend to go for a lower number. Contacts are less emotive, implicitly powerful words suggesting a major impact. And these sorts of leading questions are the sorts of things that can lead to overestimates and underestimates in interviews with witnesses to these types of events. In fact, judging speed is a very, very difficult thing to do, and quite often people do it based exactly on the way in which they're asked, coupled with a rather dim memory of the clip. I imagine you didn't remember accurately anyone who was in the cars. I mean, there were a couple of clips where nobody was in the cars. But because I asked you how many people were in the cars, one of the assumptions you implicitly make is I wouldn't ask you a question that I didn't think you could answer. And I wouldn't ask you a question which is wrong, than that I know to be wrong. I wouldn't ask you, what's the name of my mother, because you couldn't possibly reply. You'd think I was mad if I asked you that. And in fact, had you known that there were no people in some of these cars, you would now say, well, that's a really mad question to ask me because there's nobody in them. But you can see if you ask someone, they've got an imperfect memory, your mind automatically, unconsciously infers that cars have drivers. So there must have been at least a driver in the car. But in fact, several of them were test crashes with nobody in the car, dragged along by chains. So you can see how just a few carefully worded questions can shape your memory into a certain sort of form, and that's what this sort of demonstration experiment was about. A very famous experiment done many years ago in 1974 by Elizabeth Loftus and Steve Palmer at the University of California. So thank you all very much for doing it, and I hope you found it interesting.